Storehouse Media. How are you, Sherrie? And this is going to be a very interesting guest today, isn't it?
Yes, Neil, it's going to be a very interesting guest, and I'm excited to bring on Hugh Massie. And Hugh's in Atlanta, but don't get kind of distracted with that Sydney Australian accent. But yeah, Hugh is an really interesting guy. He's executive chairman and founder of DNA Behavioral International and the Behavioral and Money Insights Company. And this is just an interesting topic to me. So I can't wait to dive in and just say, welcome, you.
Yeah, thank you, Sherrie and Neil. It's great to be with you this afternoon.
All right.
Yeah. So you're a Titan 100 CEO,
Yep.
right? And in what you do, and I love it. You address every opportunity and challenge from the proven perspective of behavior makes money. How explain that concept, please?
It's sort of a big concept, isn't it? But it's actually, in a lot of ways, quite simple. Um, I think if you look at any company or organization, what what contributes to its financial results? What's the driver behind its profits? And the simple answer is it's leadership decision making. And what's behind the leadership decision making is the leaders and how they are behaviorally and financially wired to make those decisions. And so that's where I distill it all down to behavior makes money. And I suppose to prove that, what we did was a research study. We've done a number of them, over the years, but the most recent one we did was where we analyzed the behavioral style of every S&P 500 company leader and looked at the profits of their companies. And we could see that for the companies where the profits were higher and the market valuation went up because of that, there were certain behavioral traits that were stronger.
Oh,
And so what that's enabled us to do is to isolate what behaviors a leadership team, starting with its CEO, needs to have to outperform in terms of profitability and market value.
And that's how did that come about for you, figuring that stuff out?
It's been sitting in my mind for years. And I think it first came, just generally speaking, it goes all the way back to my background of being a CPA, an investor, and then eventually a wealth manager. And I could see that, Neil, when leadership teams changed, what happened to the companies changed. Culture, the leadership team inside the company, the decision making, and then ultimately the profits 2 or 3 or 5 years later all changed. So observationally, I knew this was going on. And then when my time came to get into the human behavior business, which is another question I'm sure you'll ask me, uh, I started to look at it more closely. And I could see that with leadership teams that had certain constructs, they did better than others. And then to do this research study that I did last year, that could only come about because of AI. Until we've had AI, you wouldn't be able to analyze 500 accounts of companies in an afternoon, and you wouldn't be able to analyze the leadership styles of 500 leading companies without the participation of the leaders, without AI, and you wouldn't be able to do that in an afternoon.
Right. That would
And
take
so,
forever.
yeah, so what in the past it would take forever. Today you can do that just with punching a button on your computer, and you hit the AI agent, and it taps our systems, and the work gets done. Um, but it wasn't as simple as that. It's not as simple as saying to Claude, "Hey Claude, go and tell me the behavioral style of every S&P 500 company leader and how that impacts profits." You have to have the psychometrics data analysis underneath that, and that's what we'd accumulated over 20 plus years of work. And then we learned how to build what we call a digital scan, where we can go and predictively create a profile of a person without them having to complete our profile. So we know through AI how they would answer our profile, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And so we built that, and we'd been asked to do that probably 6 or 7 years before the advent of AI. So we actually knew how to do it, but the clients we were working with at the time didn't want to proceed for another reason. So we stopped. We just, you know, kept on to we mothballed the work and the research, and then the time came with AI that it made it easy to do. And it's like everything, what was last year we thought was easy to do. This year it's even easier because
Right.
of AI. But it, the thinking, I think, still has, and I think this is the point for people to be listening to, the thinking and the research has to be there. It's like somebody came to me yesterday even with a system that's in human behavior and said, we can measure in the greatest amount of depth every behavioral insight about a person. And I think he was trying to tell me he could measure more than we can. Like, I don't get into that kind of competition. But the point being is he'd spent 10 years at developing a system. AI allows him to do it. That
Well,
it may not have happened otherwise.
yeah, you know, now we're on the top of AI. You want to commercialize the DNA behavior AI driven B-side tech platform. So that by 2030 it's fully informs over being people and learn how to enhance their decision making relationships for increasing. What is the DNA behavior AI driven B-side tech platform?
So BSI is just short for behavioral science.
Okay.
So it's a behavioral science technology platform that allows us to analyze any person, essentially, Sherrie, in the world and provide a behavioral style on them. And through those insights, uh, enable them to be better informed in some way to make decisions. And so with AI, we can go and do that. Like, we have already created over 275 million profiles in our database using AI. If we know the person's name and where they work or used to work or what they're doing, used to do, we're able to create that profile. So you could take Fidelity Investments, 50 million customers.
Right.
We could go to Fidelity, and if their data is centralized in a repository, we could create a behavioral style using our psychometric system for every one of those customers. Now they would know, not only risk profiles, decision-making biases, what scares those people at night, how they want to give money, but also how to communicate to them, what types of products that person would probably want, how to market it to them, which person should serve them. That's what comes out of it. So if the database is, if the company has the database, that can be done. We've got other clients with 100,000 people. Well, it's still mass scaling personalization by going and giving every person a behavioral style. And that's what AI allows us to do.
Right. And so, what is the ultimate goal? Who would use this once you have this information on every CEO's data and all this information at their fingertips?
So I think there's two levels here that if we break it down and sort of split it in simple terms, Neil, there's what you've just referred to as people due diligence. So let's say that you're a private equity firm and you want to know upfront which leadership team to invest in, or you want to understand the construct of leadership teams in a particular industry. Might even be that you want to poach somebody from another firm, whatever that setting is. As the PE firm, as the investor, you would want to know about who you're investing in, making that decision.
Like buying a specific company, first of all,
Yeah,
looking at, because you can do that for every senior leadership position, right?
correct. Right.
Right.
You can do it for every public company and every private company. That's that's one level of this. You can do it going down, not just the leaders. You could go, if you knew all the employees of that company, you could go down and do it for every employee.
Is that pulling a lot of LinkedIn stuff data or?
Yeah, so it's looking at we're going into public data sources. And so we're looking at a person's role history, so no two CEOs are the same. Tim Cook and Elon Musk are different people. They're CEOs, but their track to getting there is different. So
And
their psychometric profile will be different.
and a lot everyone's profiles out there, famous or non-famous, either through wiki or, you know what I'm saying, if they
Yeah,
don't have a lot on the public profile, your AI program is able to pull research and data from multiple data points that are on the web that are the public forum.
right.
And everyone has a LinkedIn, so you can pull, even if
Yeah,
somebody.
everyone's got LinkedIn. Everyone's got some public presence in some way where they're saying or doing something that and you can find them. And so it's not a hard act to do this. Now, if a company itself or an organization itself has already got a database that says, this is where the person worked, this is where they used to work, and this is other things that they do and say, you've got a leg up to create some of it from that. Um, and so this is far more accessible to do, Neil, than you think. And really what we're doing is reverse engineering 25 years work to
So
enable that to happen. But that's the due diligence. So what we talked about is the due diligence side. But let's say that you are Fidelity Investments or an insurance company, for example, and you're the insurance company and you want to sell more life insurance policies, motor car policies, travel stuff, whatever product you've got, handle claims in a different way. You need to know the behavior of every person you're dealing with, not only inside your own team, but also on the client or customer side. You to personalize the experience, which I think now can be done at a much higher level than could be in the past and very easily. That's why you would want to have this behavioral data. And the way I look at it is it can be an asset.
right.
Well,
Any sales and marketing initiative can use it.
Yeah, and this is the thing, and I'll pass it back to Sherry after that, is the biggest powerful thing that AI brings is research and data. Things that would take us so much time to search the World Wide Web and to uncrawl different things. This is where if you wanted to invest in a long-term growth of your company, is you need to basically put hire people that all they're doing is data inquiries for you and doing these types of research and putting it all into one database that's building this stuff that you have now in a competitive analysis. I'm working on a business right now and I'm literally having AI on multiple large language models do all the research for me to put together a business plan, to put together all the different things, to put
Yeah,
together what competitive advantage I have, what I don't, what are going to be the biggest pitfalls, almost putting together. It's not, what is it called, those big things that they put together that they charge a ton of money for when you're a business and you want to look at this business idea is a good idea. What's it
A
called?
business plan.
No, it's not a business plan. It's something else. I don't know what the name of it'll come it's the tip of my tongue.
A
It's even
pitch
deep.
deck.
What'd you say?
A pitch deck.
No, it involves four letters. It'll come to me when I don't know, it'll where it takes through the whole process even
Yeah,
deeper in that competitive analysis to see if you're worthwhile. What
yeah,
you're, yeah. But a business plan's totally, if you do a detailed business plan, you can really get a lot of research you would never get.
yeah. I do. I agree with you. AI does allow you to assimilate information, find information, do research that was probably never possible before. Now, of course, the quality of that comes down to the quality of the data that exists in the AI. And, some of that is still questionable.
It totally is.
Yeah. So you do need to be extremely careful, but there are now multiple AI platforms to use other than, you're not just reliant on ChatGPT. There
Yeah,
are other,
I'm using like five different large language models in my
right.
process.
Yeah. And I think that's the key. And then it's what rests underneath those models that's helping you get to those answers.
Hmm.
And so it is the right data in, right data out concept is well and truly at play here. And, I think to be able, in terms of understanding people and human behavior, we'll be able to go to levels that are unparalleled on that.
Hmm.
Well, what do you think about, as they're profiling and they go to social media? I mean, it seems like sometimes I will talk about something and then I'll go on Facebook and there's ads about that all over the place. And it's like, how did that even happen? But I think, shopping is a great way to profile people. What kind of things are they buying? Are they doing things because they have a painful neck? And now, they're having, physical problems with their neck. I mean, just all kinds of things. Maybe they're into makeup, but that to me would be a great way to profile somebody. What do they buy? You know?
Yeah, I think that what organizations are doing is a good job on that side of it. They are identifying that you want to buy socks or you're into health and longevity and you're looking at equipment, tools and toys and tablets and whatever else for that. And every time you log into a social media platform, you're going to get that on your feed for the next 4 weeks. But what they're analyzing is, to me, there is demographic information, transactional information, but they're not necessarily analyzing the psychometric information, which is more around your emotions, your deeper motivations, your actual buying style, risk tolerance. There's a deeper set on and how to communicate with Sherrie. It's still a one size fits all marketing, other than that they know you're interested in health and longevity. That marketing will get more and more pinpointed over time by knowing more under the surface. And I suppose, some of the settings I work in, for example, wealth management, you can't just build a financial plan by knowing how much money someone has and what cul-de-sac they live in. You've got to know how to, because two people with the same demographics living in the same cul-de-sac with an assumed same amount of money are not the same person. And that's what we at DNA Behavior are trying to help organizations go past.
So you can go with the consumer as well. And you can look at an
Yeah.
individual and look at their LinkedIn profile and look at all and their Facebook profile and all that stuff and be able to see what their spending habits are, what they're doing, things that Facebook used to do in the Facebook advertising end that doesn't do anymore.
Yeah, we don't actually go into Facebook. We don't go into private sources, but we can look at LinkedIn career histories. People are posting YouTubes out there, commenting on stuff. There's writing blogs. There's a million things that are out there, yes, and there are ways to access. That there is data out there on what people are spending money on and where they live and whatnot. Our system is not really driven on the financial aspect of the spending, even though we can do analytics on all of that. We are getting to what your personality is. Your personality is not your money as such. Knowing, two people with $1 million living in the same cul-de-sac with a wife and 2 kids are not the same person. And I think that the marketing today and the financial analytics that's being done by banks and credit card companies and whatnot treats them as the same person.
And that makes no sense because one of them could be the $1 million next door, while the other one doesn't even have.
It could have been inherited. It could have come from a one-time bonus. There's any number of reasons why they would be different, and you can't treat them the same. And that's what we're getting at, is to how do you treat them differently?
And that's
with a high degree of precision.
And that is through creating your own proprietary software. Then
Yes,
is that,
which is what we have in that, and what Sherrie's referring to as the B-side tech platform. That's the platform that's doing all those calculations. It's got all the algorithms sitting in there.
So is this a software that companies would purchase?
Yeah, they basically purchase a subscription to use it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it works. So they're buying basically access to use it for the year.
Got it.
What would you say, with all this stuff and what you've gathered together, would be the one thing that holds people back in life and in business?
What holds people back in life and business? I think the really the primary thing, and would always be my starting point, Sherrie, is self-awareness, and that if people are more aware of their strengths and the struggles that come from that. So your struggles are the strengths overplayed, but the more aware you are of your strengths and can capitalize them, but manage your struggles, I think that gives you a greater chance for success, because that opens the door to how you build relationships with people, finding the right job, having personal confidence. I think at the end of the day, confidence is a huge driver of performance, but that comes from knowing who you are is a big part of that. And then building on that. And as you build on that, you get wins, your mindset gets clearer, you can do things, and then fear starts to go out the window. You connect with better people, right? Or better and more people of the right ilk, and that and your life flourishes from that. But it's got to start with a level of self-awareness. So you've got to in a way be prepared to face up to who you are and learn to love it.
Yeah.
And not easier said than done, right? But that is the key.
Yeah, I think confidence will push people to do things that most won't, because of their confidence of succeeding. So I think that's a really good point.
But overconfidence is a problem too, because then you can hit your head against the wall by making mistakes you perhaps shouldn't make. And so that's managed again by actually knowing who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Got that.
Yeah.
All right. So basically your software, is that available now for people?
Yeah. So our system's there, and anybody can go and use it. You can go to dnabehavior.com and it's there. A big initiative, Neil, we've got at the moment is helping salespeople, sales-orientated people get in the game of this quicker. So we built an app called GoDNA.ai. I've got the logo on my chest. But if you go to that webpage, GoDNA.ai, it's really simple to log in there and do your own profile. And then you can digitally scan anybody that you connect with And now you'll know how to market and sell to them, what script you should have. You can get that customized for you by AI right in the platform.
Wow. Pretty interesting. So if you were looking at a business like Sherry's at Storehouse Media that does marketing, media, and podcasting, what would you say would be the best thing utilizing your data, your system to analyze for her company?
Oh, I think one, just analyzing or being knowing the podcast guests coming on. I'll send you guys your digital scans afterwards.
Oh,
But
boy.
knowing the podcast guests, I think for Sherry, knowing every customer that walks in the door or contacts her, she could digitally scan them
Wow.
and then help them know their customers. And that's then going to tailor some of the marketing and the pitches that get done.
Wow.
Because
That's
you're going to
great.
figure out that ideal. Once you figure out that avatar, that ideal customer profile, then you're able to duplicate it using
Yeah, that would
data.
be the ideal thing is to duplicate or find more customers like your ideal customer profile, not only in financial terms, but in behavioral terms. You know, we've all got certain types of people we work with more easily or relate to.
Right. Then
And
the
so
other
once Sherry
appliances
connects
make
with
no
them,
sense. Yeah.
then it's
Yeah.
helping them do the same thing.
Hmm.
And so it's intriguing stuff you're doing. Where's the best place people can find you? You have two websites then, it sounds like.
Yeah, so dnabehavior.com and then godna.ai.
And one's AI and the other one is not AI.
Well, they're both AI. It's all got AI in it. The godna.ai is just a simpler website with a single app in there to start using our system, as opposed to like any sales rep could go in there, or any person really, and use that service. Whereas dnabehavior.com, it's got more things going on there.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And go to storehousemediagroup.com for all things media, podcasting, and publishing. Appreciate it, guys.